It's the focus with Javon Adams. My name is Javon Adams. You can call me Jay or J Love. I'll get into how often I do this at the end of today's show. But make sure you like, share, subscribe. Go to focusnowtalk.com. Focusnowtalk.com. You can sign up for the newsletter and you'll get notified whenever a new pod goes up. So today I want to talk about 4 tips to overcoming inertia or stagnation. 4 tips to overcoming inertia or stagnation. I found myself over the last few weeks. It's funny because I was just at my aunt's funeral last week, and there was a longtime family friend that I hadn't seen, gosh, in years. And so she asked me, "What do you do? What do you do, Javon?" And I had to pause, and I said, I do a lot of stuff. I try to stay busy, and then I went kind of listed what I do, where I work, what my business is, that type of stuff. And over the last few weeks, what I found was I knew I had these things in my mind that I wanted to do, but I wasn't moving forward. I felt that I was stagnant. I felt that it was inertia. I just wasn't moving. I was in the same spot. It was kind of almost a death spiral of sorts. And there are some things that I began to do that I wanted to share with you. And hopefully this, if not for yourself, let somebody else know, share this with them. Hopefully these tips that have helped me can help you as well. So in terms of when you look at kind of what inertia or stagnation is, found some kind of scientific definitions that I want to kind of go over. So one, when it comes to inertia, put simply, behavioral inertia is the tendency to keep doing what you're already doing. So what I was doing the same thing, meaning I might go to the gym, I may run, I might not run, I wasn't progressing, and I was doing that same thing over and over again without really any real progression. In another definition that I found, well, let me finish with this. Much like Newton's first law of physics, an object in motion will remain in that state until acted on by an outside force. People tend to persist in a behavior until there's a significant intervention. Sometimes we have to be that intervention for ourselves. The other definition that I came across, similarly, the heuristic states that a person's behaviors or opinions are likely to stay constant until forced into another state of being. While this tendency allows our identities and habits to solidify, often allowing helpful habits to form, it can be detrimental to the growth of our identities. And I think that's kind of where it fell with me. So number one, so again, 4 tips to overcoming inertia and stagnation. Number one, make a daily to-do list and check them off. So make a weekly list that can be filtered to a daily list. I did that just this week. I have a macro, what I want to accomplish for this week. And then I'm filtering that down to what I want to do each one of those days that can help me to reach my overall goals based upon the to-do list. But it's really to help you visualize, and it can be easy to get upset sometimes when we have lists like that we don't finish all of these, that we don't check off every box. But I'll tell you this. One thing there's a couple different podcasts that I do. Of course, The Focus with Javon Adams. We got Believe in the Arizona Cardinals that I do with my partner, Ed Smith. We have our Easy Sports Talk Show podcast that we do 3 days a week. So there's a lot of different podcasts, right? And sometimes I don't feel like doing them. So sometimes I'll end up pushing them back later in the day or trying to reschedule, but has to be done in order to be able to build up that consistency. So having said that, what I started to do was, and I have one of those books that I bought one time at Barnes & Noble that it's a book that helps you to change those habits. So you write down your goals. In the to-do list, the checklist for every day and for the week, but it's a little bit too cumbersome for me. And so I started to just use my phone, just use the good old computer in my pocket to create a to-do list. And so I would put on there sometimes just the simplest things: call your mom, call my mom, the Believe pod, the Easy pod, write, research for this podcast, those types of things. And while it seems that those should be things that I'm doing anyway, but there's something about what having that to-do list and getting through it and being able to check those off can do. A CNN report in 2020 found that to-do lists can decrease anxiety, provide structure, and give us a record of everything we accomplished for the day. And I getting those to-do lists done, I do feel a sense of accomplishment when I'm going through them. If I have 10 items on there and I've got through all 10, or if I look at it and the list looks to be so large and so daunting, but when you start checking them off, then you feel as if you're making some progression and you're starting to develop those positive habits that can help you to be successful and to change those habits, to go away from to be in motion and not be, or the movement that you're making is not one that's a death spiral as it was before. So, and if you don't finish them all, and it happens, if you finish 7 out of 10 or 6 out of 10, then move it to the next day, or to be able to look at it that way. So what I'll do is the day before, so tonight, before I go to bed, I'll put the to-do list. I'll just grab my cell phone, and then I'll just make the to-do list for Tuesday, and then so forth and so on. So I know, so I'm not waking up Tuesday morning saying, what am I going to do today? I already know. And that helps with that decreasing anxiety as well. So that's number one. Number two is let go of perfectionism. Let go of perfectionism. So I want to be very clear, you'll fail along the journey. You'll fail along this journey, whatever journey that is, whether it's a journey to kick addiction, whether it's a journey to become more tidy, a journey to grow your business. You'll fail along the way. Even the most successful people fail many times before success, and even throughout their overall successful journeys. So how often have you stopped before you started, or even given up after just one attempt? It makes me think of, so I own a pressure washing business, and the gentleman that we were, for about a year, we were partners together before he transitioned out of the business, and that was something that was already planned to happen. And I remember there was one particular client, so it was probably a couple of weeks after our business arrangement had ended, and so now it's all on me. And there was a client that needed her windows cleaned, and so she reached out to me. And so she reached out and asked me to set up a time for me to go and to clean her windows. And I was so nervous because I wanted the job to go so perfect that I almost said, no, I can't do it. I almost made up an excuse, but brought my oldest son along with me. It took us probably about 50, 70 minutes longer than I would have liked to do the job, but it was done right. The client was satisfied. I had to let go of trying to be perfect, because perfect in this case would have been finishing being a little bit more efficient in the way in which we did it, but we got it done. She was happy. And so you have to let go of that perfection. There's a saying that says, don't let perfect be the enemy of good. And so what that means is insisting on being perfect can prevent less than perfect improvements, applying new skills, stepping outside of your comfort zone. So it's okay. You're going to make missteps along the way. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good. And the next one, and then also, yes. So that's what that is. Now, the next one is pray or meditate. So number 3 is pray or meditate. So again, these are the 4 tips to overcoming inertia and stagnation. There's 1 Chronicles 16:11 says, seek the Lord in his strength, seek his presence continually. Matthew 21:22 says, and whatever you ask in prayer, you will receive if you have faith. So benefits to praying or meditation is better sleep, calmer emotions, increased ability to focus, greater self-awareness, increased resiliency, reduced stress levels, and enhanced ability to safely experience feelings. I make it a point on my to-do list. I mentioned the to-do list, the number 1 thing that I put pray on there. I put pray, and it helps to center. But there are a couple of the last 2 points that I mentioned I want to go into just a little bit more. When it comes to reduced stress levels, when we're stuck, it can be stressful. When we feel that we're on this vicious loop, it can be stressful, and bad habits can become worse. And being able to center ourselves and to be calm or still can help us to begin to move forward again. And when it comes to an enhanced ability to safely experience feelings, feeling inadequate, scared, overwhelmed, among other emotions. It's all natural. And so being able to pray in that and being able to try to again center yourself, but then to move forward, understanding you acknowledge how you feel, but then move forward so that you can put yourself in a better mental state as well as you're going to try to achieve or move closer to whatever that goal might be. Number 4, journaling. You probably heard people talk about this all the time, and I was hesitant to journal. I don't do it as often as I should, and I need to add that to my to-do list, matter of fact, so I can make sure that I'm doing this and checking that off my list, because I found it to be beneficial. You don't have to write paragraphs and paragraphs, although if you want to, sure. You don't have to. Sometimes it's just that I've in my book that I call my journal. Sometimes I just write a word or it's a sentence. But what journaling does is when you write down your thoughts, experiences, what went wrong, what went right for the day, so forth and so on. And so it can help you to achieve goals because you're getting your thoughts onto that paper there. And that maybe that translates into a to-do list or goals that you set for yourself. It helps you to find inspiration because you can look back on previous entries to see how far you've come and how much you've grown. And actually, I was looking at my journal last week, and I was looking at some entries from earlier in the year, and what was going on then, and how the growth, and I see how, and I see how I've grown just in a few months. It can help you to gain self-confidence because you're going through what went right, what was good today, those types of things. And it can also help to reduce stress and anxiety. So there are a couple of different quotes I want to throw at you. One is from William Wordsworth. Fill your paper with the breathings of your heart. So when you're in your journal, your emotions, get those things out instead of keeping them bottled up and keeping them bottled in. Anne Frank said, I can recapture everything when I write, my thoughts, my ideals, and my fantasies. And then lastly, Ernest Hemingway said, write hard and clear about what hurts. So it's almost like a therapy session for yourself, if you will. So again, let's wrap it up. So the 4 tips to overcoming inertia and stagnation, we have: make a daily to-do list and check them off as you go. Let go of perfectionism, pray or meditate, and journal. And so, as I mentioned earlier, what I want to do is, sometimes when I was putting the to-do list together, and I know that doing the focus on Mondays and Fridays, I felt that the Friday was maybe a little bit more robust, right? But I don't want to I don't want to short sell doing 2 podcasts where one is very short and one is longer. And I want to be able to incorporate more conversations with folks, as I had done in kind of the early iteration of the focus with Javon Adams. So for now, I'm going to be doing it on Monday to be able to have a little bit of a longer conversation, or being able to share some things that I've gone through, or maybe some suggestions and those things, and then go back to 2 days once I'm able to zoom out a little bit. And so for now, the focus with Javon Adams every Monday. And make sure you tell a friend about what I have going on here. Again, today we talked about the 4 tips to overcoming inertia and stagnation. So hopefully that helps you get that to-do list. Even if you'd be amazed at how accomplished you'll feel. A list of 5 things that you check off throughout the day, and you feel that you've done something. You don't feel as if you're just going on cruise control. And that the journaling definitely helps. I find prayer, especially since I've really had a renewed focus on it, I found it to be very beneficial for me as well. And then when letting go of perfectionism, because that right there has prevented me from moving forward in some areas over the last few months, where because I was afraid of not being able to do it right the first time. And that's, you have to crawl before you walk, and walk before you run, so forth and so on. So make sure you tell a friend about what I have going on here. Again, I do this every Monday for now. So go to focusnowtalk.com or rate, subscribe, rate as high as you can. It definitely does help. And so, as I always like to say around this time, you can